What happened today? Where is it right now as we meet with you?
Well, I'll tell you what happened this morning is the continued proffer of all this information they want to get in front of the jury and really want to demonstrate that there was some motive, some reason why this father would splatter his son's brains in the dog kennel and then hunt down his wife with an AR rifle. So they're trying to get into what's happening in his whole world in his life that is sort of crumbling, unraveling around him. Specifically, the financials. He was siphoning money from the law firm. He was making money, not giving it to his partners and to the law firm. So that's happening. He's being sued because of his son's boating accident, and that lawsuit could uncover more of his financial misdeeds, which are many. And it really involves a lot of ripping off of his own clients. They're saying $9 million worth of fraud and stealing.
Oh, nine.
It's really unthinkable what he did for all these years as a lawyer.
My God, 9. I thought it was like 700,000 and change. And 9 million's a lot. So wait a minute. I should have done this at the start. I just assumed people are familiar with this case, and I shouldn't do that because not everybody's been following it. But this guy, Alex Murdaugh, is from a very famous family of very accomplished lawyers down in South Carolina. He really wasn't one of them, but got a job at a law firm and practicing law and had the family dough and the family name. And then his son, 19-year-old Paul, had a boating accident where Paul was allegedly drunk, driving recklessly, and a girl, Mallory Beach, was killed. She was thrown from the boat and killed, leading to a bunch of potential criminal and civil cases, trouble, I should say, for the son and the Murdaugh family. Fast forward a couple of years, and Paul winds up shot in the head, dead, along with Paul's mother, Maggie, Alex's wife, and Alex is accused of doing it. And one of the alleged motives is that he was stressed out, he was facing the lawsuits, and the day of the double murder, he was accused by his own law firm of embezzlement. So, Steve, this was a colossal blunder by the defense because before yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, we weren't going to hear any evidence of motive. The state's real theory is that he did this to make himself look sympathetic. In other words, he killed his family so that on this other financial stuff, people would be like, oh, poor Alex, he couldn't have, or let's leave him alone, or what have you. We weren't supposed to hear any of this. The reason we're hearing all this behind closed doors right now is because they opened the door. Explain.
Well, maybe that, whether they've opened the door or not, the judge has not ruled on that. But yes, the state definitely wants to get in this financial crime stuff because it makes him look terrible. I mean, the guy is obviously hated in the community, and for good reason. He's being shown through his financial crimes as stealing from these sympathetic characters and just everybody around him closely. The problem from the defense side is that that is not necessarily motive for murder, nor does it prove that he committed the murder. And in fact, what it actually does is it widens the field of people that could be likely assassins on his son and wife. So so it's interesting. They haven't quite ruled, but yes, you're right. There was an argument by the state that the defense opened the door by asking a deadly question, which is there any reason at all that he would kill his wife? And of course, as Vincent said here, exactly. I mean, did you? Well, yes, there's this financial stuff. But I think that the people that I've been chatting to on the kind of the defense side are like, well, what is the nexus between the financial crimes and the murder of his son and wife, this brutal murder? It seems that it's out of character and not consistent with anything. He can be a thief, but not a murderer.
Mm-hmm. Vinnie, what do you make of that? Because the judge, the reason we heard testimony from this financial person at the law firm who uncovered the crime, the alleged crime, is the prosecution said they opened the door. We're going to do character evidence now. It's all in. We would love to do character evidence. Thank you, Lord. Love that fight. So I put the lady, and so the judge said, outside the presence of the jury, let's hear from the financial lady and let's hear about the crimes. And that's what's been going on. So what about that? I mean, why does the prosecution not think tying it together, the financial crimes and a double murder of one's own family, why do they not think that that's too difficult to tie together?
Well, the defense is saying they're not connected. There's, this is just bad character. It prejudices him, and it makes the jury perhaps look at him as a criminal rather than as a father and a husband. But it's about the timing, and I think this is where the prosecution's argument will go. It's a day of reckoning. It's June 7th, 2021, and on that day, he is confronted by the bookkeeper at his law firm about this $700,000 from this big case that they won. Him and a couple other law firms were in on it. And he had his best friend, his best friend, who's one of the other lawyers in this, write the check personally to him because he made up this story about putting it into some sort of an annuity. And his friend, didn't think twice about it because he knew Alec was super rich. He's a partner in the firm. So sure, I'll do it. But that whole thing sort of hits the fan when the accountant starts to look at the books and saying, wait a minute, we got the expenses, but where are the fees? Where's the $700,000? And so his friend testified against him, again, outside the presence of the jury, could be the best witness in the whole case because he was literally crying on the stand because his best friend had done him wrong. His best friend, for money, had done this to his buddy, and it could ruin his friend's law practice. It could ruin his reputation. It could ruin his life. He stole like $192,000 from his friend. So you put all that together, it was really powerful. And if the jury gets to hear it, I think they'll look at Alex Murdaugh a little differently. And I think they'll look at June 7th much differently as well, which is what the prosecution wants them to do.
Just a quick question, Vinnie. What was the status of the lawsuits connected to the boat accident at the time of the double murders? What kind of pressure was Alex Murdaugh facing at that moment?
Well, the pressure, and this goes to the next level, and this is why it's a slippery slope when you start getting into this evidence. The following week, a few days later, there was going to be an accounting. So they were going to go through Alex Murdaugh's financials. And what the prosecution is saying is he was deadly scared of that because this would reveal all that was going on. The fact that he's collecting
with
settlements for clients and not paying the clients. The clients aren't getting money. All of this would have been revealed.
What you're saying is that in connection with a civil lawsuit that had been filed against Alex Murdaugh, not just the son, Paul.
Yeah, they went after everybody. They went after Alec. They went after the son. They went after the brother. They went after everyone.
Okay, so he's facing exposure on that too. Presumably he owned the boat and you would be exposed in the same way as if your teenager
But it wasn't just the exposure to how much money he could lose in the lawsuit. It's that the lawyers through the discovery process would go through his financials and then they would uncover all of his criminal, fraudulent conduct through the years as they're going through his books. And that's what prosecutors say he was afraid of.
My God, it's like what a tangled web. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I'm just saying, looking at it from a little bit more of a defense side, the problem is that he had been stealing from everybody basically for 10 years and was a good old boy and could talk his way out of anything. I know that the state wants to bring this in because it makes him look so bad. So I completely understand that. But it looks to me, this crisis on that day type of argument seems to me to be backing the truck up, right? So it's like, okay, we want to get this in. So how do we justify that? Well, let's come up with this crazy motive. And that's why I'm not convinced that there is a connection or a nexus between the thefts and this peak of activity. Now, of course, the state isn't done yet. So we can't prejudge
it. Let me ask you this, Steve. If the son dies, does the civil case go away? I mean, as a practical matter, he was the driver of the boat.
No, it does not, because it passes to his estate and he was being sued. That doesn't change anything. So
what he's doing, though, he's buying time. It's a diversion, right? So on June 7th, all of a sudden, all eyes in his law firm are on him as, what are you doing with this money? Where's the money, Alec? And then that night, boom, all of a sudden, everything turns around. Nobody's talking about the money. We don't talk about money. We're talking about poor Alec and the fact that his family's now being targeted. And they were probably afraid that Alec was a target as well. Then the next day of reckoning, You go flash forward to September, and he's getting fired now from his law firm. All this stuff is coming out, and then all of a sudden, there's another shooting, another 911 call from Alec. This time from the side of the road. I was on that road. There's nothing there, and he calls in that he was the victim of a shooting, and apparently somehow he's shot in the head, but is like okay to call 911 and survives the whole thing. And again, it's the timing. It's right when the stuff is about to be revealed and all the focus will be on all the bad things that he did, he tries to turn himself into a victim.
Oh my God, that sounds exactly right. I buy that hook, line, and sinker,
I
Steve.
don't.
You tie it together with a fake attempt on Alex's life. It makes perfect sense. Why don't you buy it?
Well, because it does not seem. I mean, I've done a lot of trials and thousands of criminal cases, and thieves are different than murderers, and it's just out of character for the way he seems to present himself, and to kill your mother, your wife, and your child in a vicious, cold-blooded way is quite, and there is an alternative theory of murder here. There is an alternative theory that is not, I don't think, been disproven by the evidence so far presented, and that is that there was somebody lying in wait for Paul out in this dog kennel, and that after he got done, he went back to the house, and this guy came out of the woods with a shotgun, shot the son in the head, picked up the son's AR, shot the wife, and then took off. And in fact, there's cell phone evidence which we're still parsing through it. We haven't heard everything, but that may even be exculpatory to Mr. Alex here. So I don't know. We haven't heard the whole case, but it's quite a drama.
I would love to talk to you about Bonner Private Wine Partnerships. They have these incredibly rare Malbecs that you must try. You got to try it. If you enjoy a glass of wine, I do. Try these wines from the extreme altitudes of Argentina. It's fun to even just to think about. The flavor is unlike any other. Blackberry, leather, smoke, little dark cherry. That makes everything better. And these wines are nearly impossible to get on your own. The producers deep in the Andes Mountains make limited quantity. The best part is they've cut out the middleman, so you will not deal with a big markup. Today, we get a great offer in front of you. If you visit bonnerprivatewines.com/MKS, like MK Show, MKS, you will not only get the wine for over 50% off, plus free shipping, you'll also get a bonus bottle of small batch limited production wine from their exclusive wine cellar. You can wow your friends with that. That's 4 bottles for the price of 3, and it's a deal that's hard to turn down if you are a wine lover like yours truly. Visit Bonner, BONNER, privatewines.com/MKS to claim your bonus bottle and become a part of America's most unique wine club. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.